My girl, she'll come up and she'll ask me, hey, Steve, what is this? And I'm like, what is that word? I don't know what that word. And I'll YouTube and I'm like, oh, it's a prison workout. This looks like this.
That's great. Yes.
Wow, we would have never believed this. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple, we're on Google. Go out there and listen to us. So we're excited about it. We're glad you're excited about it too. Hey, I want to thank you for joining us for Muscles Matters, because Steve and I think muscles matter, right?
I hope so.
Yeah, you just look at this guy, you know, muscles matters. Look at that bicep. We're here again with Justin Maina, and Justin's already been on lunch break, so if you haven't seen that one, you need to see it. We've also got a Ministry Matters, because this man's life is dedicated to Christ. But Justin always believes also that muscles matter. He was a ninja warrior, which I don't even know how you guys climb up that wall. That curved wall, what's it called?
The warp wall.
The warp wall. I mean, I understand the physics to it and stuff.
Gravity always beats me. I can't understand that either.
Steve, I don't think you and I have ever been built to go up a warp wall.
There's a certain weight limit that should not defy gravity.
And then how they hold onto those little balls, that kind of stuff. So Justin, you've accomplished all that. So we're here, and we've talked about Justin's journey to where he's at. Didn't start here, but if you want to know more about that, just watch the lunch break and the Ministry Matters. So we're going to jump into it, Justin. Give us some background on fitness and what inspired you. Was it part of your life and as a young man and through high school, the sports you played, and what your mentality was going through it?
Awesome. First of all, it's an honor to be here, and I look forward to inspiring people and God getting the glory through all of this, because not everyone has the same background. So my story may be different than yours, but at the end of the day, I know that we all have a story. It matters. And I believe my story will encourage you, because that's why I believe I'm on here. So I'll start off by saying I didn't always look like an American Ninja Warrior. I was actually picked on a lot in school. I was sharing with Tom that I had a strong lift growing up, and people would make fun of me. And I know that was an attack from the enemy. In fact, I wasn't really good at sports. And I know that my brother did great in track. I always wanted to be good at something, and I was good at the clarinet and saxophone, but I wanted to be good athletically. So I tried out for the track team in middle school, and all I had to do was do a mile, and I was on the track team. I wanted to be like my older brother, who went to college, breaking records in high school, doing track and field. So anyway, it was a long journey, but I really started getting into fitness, I'd say around the age of 16, 17.
Usually Steve, do you see that? Do you see the young guys when they get into the let's call it puberty, or, they start producing the juice.
When the testosterone kicks in.
Yeah, the juice.
I was a late bloomer.
Yeah. Do you get that a lot in your shop and people coming in? Or is it younger than that nowadays?
You know what? It's about the high school. High school is about the age you start really. Well, no, take that back. It's getting a little bit younger, because with social media, you have so much of the body dysmorphia that is more present that we don't get until we're in that high school, and you're starting to go into the dating pool, and you're starting to look left and right and realize, like, hey, I need to be a little more studlier.
I like that. Yeah. So let us know how that impacted you when you started to become, in high school and kind of start to get more fit.
Well, here's the thing. I always wanted to belong. I feel like every kid,
yes,
part of their identity is to feel like they fit in. And at that point, I wanted to be like my older brother. He was an inspiration to me. He was good at something. But while I was going through that journey, I realized I wasn't meant to be like him. I wasn't as fast as him. But I always loved to explore and climb things. And eventually, what's funny is in middle school, I saw this one kid who had bumps on his stomach, and they were called abs. And I know that girls like them. And I thought, well, what are you doing? And he did sit-ups, and I started doing some of those things. But it wasn't until high school that I started training consistently 5 days a week with some friends, started developing strength, and then started improvising, because I never wanted to do the same thing over and over again. It was boring to me. So muscle confusion was what allowed me to ultimately become a ninja, because I looked at the world like my own personal jungle gym, And that's where I started experimenting until somebody asked me, hey, why don't you audition for Ninja Warrior? And I never thought about it, auditioned, and it was like a walk in the park from there.
Tell us what got you mostly interested in the Ninja Warrior. Was it the challenge of the apparatuses, or it was just the competition? Did your team show up to support you? Tell us about that, because I get to see it on TV, and but I don't. Do you ever watch the Ninja Warrior?
Yeah, I do, and I realize it's not for me. Yeah,
They lose you. They lose you at the beginning, right?
with that whole cardio thing.
That's funny.
Well, you definitely want to be smaller framed, because when you're hanging, you want as light weight. You don't want that much weight weighing you down, because I mean it's just a thing. So it's one of the sports that I've actually done really well in. I weigh 160 pounds and 5'9", and it's an ideal weight for me. Flying through the air. But the community is very, very supportive. I had my family, relatives all fly out to Atlanta to support me on my first year. But yeah, I honestly wasn't even, I only auditioned for the show because a bunch of people told me I'd be great at it. I didn't know that I'd get picked the first time I auditioned. They have over 100,000 people competing to be on the show. So it was an honor that less than a 0.5%, and I got on.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I love it. Now, as you were on it, there was something that happened that made you kind of tap out of that. Kind of talk to our audience about that, because it's something that has affected our show. Because after you explain it, I'll share that.
Yeah, so I've competed a few years. I've done some national competitions outside of American Ninja Warrior, and I've enjoyed it. I've loved the community. But at the end of the day, I feel like I kind of moved on from that, and I considered possibly auditioning. And then that's right when COVID hit. You have to audition every single year. And that's right when COVID hit, and several friends of mine were required to get vaccinated in order to be on the show. And that was just a sign for me that if they're going to require that, I care enough about my body to not do that. And I know people may not agree with my reasoning behind that, but at the end of the day, I don't think there's enough research to go into to backing that up. So I chose not to re-audition.
Well, Steve, and I think this is something that I think everybody's conviction has to follow them. But I got to appreciate you, Justin, for saying I was good at something. Did you ever feel that maybe God was moving you into something else?
I knew for a fact he was. In fact, I'll just share two quick things. First of all, when I competed on the show, my first season, I was a rookie, made it in the top 10. It's one of the fastest times. And they started interviewing me and finding out who I was, where I came from, what my workout routine was. And, I was just open about everything, but I don't think they liked the God part of it. And then also, like, it was just a part of my life. I didn't, I really believe in being in the world, not of it. I don't want to be Christianese to people. I just like being real. But I was the only, to my knowledge, I was the only city finalist that first year that was not aired on national TV. And, that's okay, but I realized that not everyone gets aired, but I was a city finalist and my run was not aired. So I don't know how popular that is or not, but I was told that it's kind of a rare thing. But I looked at that as, hey, do I care more about people highlighting me or God highlighting me? Because there have been some really amazing doors that God has opened up after that no other way can be opened up other than God. So I realized that I don't want to be tied to pride things that I have no control over. So I had to realize that, hey, that's fine, and be willing to roll with it.
So Justin, tell us about the things that the fitness provided you a open door, per se, on ministry.
Honestly, I think that's one of the greatest things that people are attracted to me. As much as I was great at the clarinet, it's not, I don't really get many people saying, hey, how do you play so good? Can you help me? I think everywhere I go, it's just like our voice. When we speak, when we walk into a room, we have a presence. And also, like, the joy that we can exude, the joy of Christ, that is our witness to other people. So every time we're going somewhere, we have an opportunity to steward what God has given us with excellence. And when people look at us who can steward our bodies well, or can, do crazy backflips or do handstand push-ups, you'd be amazed at how many times I'm doing a simple workout in the gym, doing muscle ups, handstand push-ups, things that are not necessarily normal, but things that I've had to overcome. And people ask me, hey, what are you doing? It's a form of ministry. They want to follow me. They want to see what I'm doing. They see that I'm stewarding my physical body with excellence. Then I have an open door to talk to them about the mental game, the spiritual side of things. And that's why I personally do it, and as well as not wanting to be limited by anything. That's why I physically want to stay in shape and know the importance of it.
Do you think the clarinet? I mean, I'm on the clarinet thing. I'm on the thing, but I'm going to make it work. I promise, I'm going to make it work. So this action right here, that's you're strengthening your fingers. And how much do you think that played into the fact that you did that? And then you went over there. How much, because you have to have a strong grip.
Yeah, okay. Now, I'll tell you what. There's a missing link between the clarinet and Ninja Warrior. There was one other major attribute that helped contribute to Ninja Warrior. I've been licensed for almost 20 years as a massage therapist.
Oh, okay, there we go. There we go.
Very, very, very limited. I've worked on a lot of, I have a lot of high-end clientele, a lot of athletes, and that's how I've gotten my ninja grip, working on them. And you're getting an American Ninja Warrior certified grip here. So
that thumb in the knot must feel awfully great.
well, I remember when the dinosaurs roamed the earth, and I used to be a lot larger, and I would go into the chiropractor, so this probably happens to you. They look at you, especially if it's early in the morning, they're like, oh, not before my day starts. I used to go to, it was called the THE Chiropractic clinic in Los Angeles. So do you ever go for a massage, Steve, and people look at you and they go, oh, come on?
Not anymore, but yes. Luckily for me, I have Vice now. And Vice, we're inside the powerlifting gym. So Vice is located in Nassau. He deals with thick boys all day long. But yeah, there would be times, Joel, when I would go to Joel would just pass me on to the students. He's like, oh no, you guys rub on them. I'm done. I'm not running, taking my hand out for the day.
So I'm going to I'm going to go down a rabbit hole. So they're doing a thing now with weighted rollers. They don't just have foam rollers. Have you had that done? I mean, where muscle matters. So
yes.
I have never had that done on purpose. Now, I've had weights fall on me, but I've never let somebody put an 80-pound roll on me.
You're going to get more than that.
Really?
Yes.
Have you heard about that, Justin? Where they're using the weighted rolls?
Weighted temper. So they're using big solid weights, and they're rolling it, and they're tempering it, and they're jamming it. It's something. It's what you've done, and if you look it up, you'll go like this. Okay, I know exactly what he's talking about. But they're adding weight onto your back to crack it. It's just rolling the metal bar across the back instead of breaking their hand, popping it. They're just taking this big, heavy log of metal, and they're rolling it to get the spine to snap, crackle, and pop.
To me, it sounds like I don't know. I feel like they're trying to make their job easier.
Yeah, no. Bang, that's essentially what it is. Do you want to pop my back, or do you want to put 200 pounds on it just like this? Okay, we're just going to roll this thing across your back.
Yeah, I mean, I've with my practice, I've experimented with the Theraguns, the Hypervolts, and at the end of the day, nothing can compete with hands-on palpation, and I just don't use them anymore because I know they're paying me for my hands, and nothing can compare to that. So I mean, I'm very specialized and only take on select clients. So, but if they're working on people day on and day out, maybe they're trying to save on their hands, or maybe it's a marketing technique.
Well, I think this is something that I can even do to this day. Somebody will come in and go, I got a bicep problem. I go, a forearm problem. I go, you don't have a forearm problem. You got a shoulder problem. Because it's just that tendon that runs down, and you've got something wrong. So hands are the best, because you can find that,
But what he said is correct. I mean, being able to specialize, and when you specialize and you're like, not to put your business in the street, I can look and go, oh, I'm charging more money for that. So now, because you're specialist, you're charging more money, so you don't have to do 12 people a day. So the guy that's got to do
Correct.
12, 14 people a day, he's like, yeah, I'm going to save these little puppies right here. You're going to get a thumb here. You're going to get a thumb there.
I got a client at 4 o'clock that I got for an hour. I need to save some grip.
Yes.
Today.
And we're going to put these cups on you real quick and move these cups around. And we're going to work that knot out strategically.
Yeah, I love that. I love that, Justin. I didn't know that you're a massage therapist. So you get a
I
good
can't tell you
feel.
everything right in the beginning.
So you get a good feel for how muscles are intertwined, how they cooperate. So in my business, I always tell people, and Steve, you did the same thing, and we had a great physique. But when you're training to present your body on stage, sometimes you'll look at it and you'll say, "Hey, I just got to train my rear delt." Well, some people at the gym will be doing a rear delt exercise on the pec deck, and you're like going, "Why?" You could do So did you ever come up with some exercises that were just specifically for one apparatus on the Ninja program? I've never got to interview a Ninja Warrior, and I've always wanted to ask that. I mean, of course, the wall we could never do, but when you're grabbing onto a ball,
yeah, you can,
or taking that rod and moving it up,
I remember the first time I watched the Arrow show and he did that. I was like, "Oh, that's cool. I'm never going to do it, but that's cool."
Yeah. So were there exercises that you would go to the gym and do specifically for that? And then did you see somebody in the gym doing it and you're like, "Why are they doing that?"
Because they watched you out the corner of their eye and go, "I'm going to do it later."
Yeah.
What's funny is I rarely see people doing things that I'm like, wow, that's amazing. I'm usually that person that's doing the crazy things that people are coming up to me for. I mean, but I'd love to, but I'm sure there's areas in LA with some of the acrobats or, I think I should be more in a gymnasium because that's where I should be because I'm doing gymnastic stuff like in the gym. But I would say, to answer your question, I come up with unique workouts all the time. I'll be on a foam roller and jump on it and then do a 180 turn, balance on it, and do pistol squats, not only on the foam roller, but also parallel to the foam roller. So my foot is parallel to the foam roller and doing a pistol squat just because I'm developing the muscles in my foot, because you never want to underestimate balance on the show. But from that to doing muscle ups and doing circuits, doing like maybe 10 muscle ups, 10 upright dips, and then doing 10 pull-ups, and then challenging your other Ninja Warrior friends saying, "Hey, do that in under a minute." So we and then one other thing that other people can try to do, if you want to work on your grip strength, which is what Ninja Warrior is all about, is this was a workout we did. We would do as many pull-ups as we could, and then try to hang as long as you could after that. So you would have to hang with one arm, shake the other one out. And what's funny is you would normally think your bicep would get pumped out. It's your forearm that can actually last a lot longer if you train it. So that's why people are hanging on with one arm and they can rebuild their strength to continue to do more. But while doing that, you could also up it to be able to have a medicine ball and throw it over the bar, catch it with the other arm, throw it over. So there's a bunch of different things that I love doing that make you think outside the box and help develop your grip.
Well, I'm sitting here and I've got a blank and I'm kind of like you were with the clarinet. Do you know what a pistol squat is?
Yeah, single leg squat.
Oh, wow. I didn't know.
Yeah, sorry.
I literally didn't know.
They come up with magical words now. Like people they'll come up and say, my girl should come up and she'll ask me, "Hey, Steve, what is this?" And I'm like, "What is that word? I don't know what that word." And I'll YouTube and I'm like, "Oh, it's a prison workout. This looks like this."
That's great. Yes,
I love that.
Thank you for the clarification.
I also can think about holding and throwing a ball over and catching it with the other.
Oh no, that's like chewing bubble gum and dancing. It's not going to happen.
So
That's more
Steve,
advanced, yes.
Sometimes, I'm just a meathead from the 70s, 80s. So what we would do to strengthen our grip is we would take a 45-pound plate that used to have the rim in the middle and just lift it up, and finally would fall. And you would say, "Okay, I want to do more than that next time."
Yeah, the good old-fashioned squeezy.
Oh, yeah, the squeezies were always good.
I mean, it's funny because what he's saying, it makes perfect sense. I mean, he has the way we had to train muscle in order to be cosmetic and look good. He's got to train that muscle to be able to be endured. That's endurance.
He holds on with these two fingers like that.
That's crazy what he has to do.
I'm telling you, massage therapy has allowed me to work on my grip, get paid for it, and become exceptional with grip strength. And that is honestly, I mean, imagine this. I've had a busy schedule where I've had like over 12 hours in a day, and I've had multiple clients throughout the week. And now it's just, I only work like 1 or 2 days a week with that field of work, because I've just worked hard to get to that point where I can just say no and just book people just for a few hours, and that's it all, in the week. But back in the day, I was working, everyone was coming to me for deep tissue. That amount of grip strength training, nobody can compare to that. That's why it was so natural.
An American Ninja Warrior grabbing my hamstring.
Yeah.
With that type of hands and strength, like, oh, I'm going to get that knot out. Oh, no, me and the knot, we're leaving. I've decided I like this knot. We're staying. We are a married couple. We're out of here.
I love that, Steve. I love that. So take us a little farther, Justin. How now? Let's say now you're out of the Ninja Warrior thing and you're focusing on ministry. You shared something on lunch break, and no, I think it was Ministry Matters. I'm plugging both the shows, so I'm shamelessly.
It might have been the same day,
Yeah, well, it was. So you had to go and speak representing the Ninja Warriors. I remember that, and you had a knee injury. And
yes,
share that with this audience, because I do believe that, and I think at one point, Steve, it might be even nice to talk about training through injuries or not training through injuries, because you had a pretty severe knee injury that inhibited you from doing some things, didn't it?
Yes. So there's so many things I look forward to sharing, but to answer your question with that, after Ninja Warrior, after not being aired, I got asked to have an opportunity. I got asked to speak on stage in front of 20,000 people at a big Christian festival called the Big Ticket Festival. And I was representing an organization called the World Orphans, where they asked me if I wanted to go to Haiti to put together the first Ninja Warrior training camp for hundreds of orphan kids in Port-au-Prince, Haiti. And we went there, and of all the Ninja Warriors, they asked to speak. And I was doing some work on HSN and was able to, reschedule things to be able to fly out there. But the day I flew out there, something happened to my knee. Now, I tore my ACL in a ninja competition like a year and a half prior to that. But it was totally healed. But something, for whatever reason, I know it was a spiritual attack, because I know what it's like now. But out of nowhere, the day of, I could not move my knee, my leg. Something was seriously wrong, and I knew I had to be there. I had to show up, because there was nobody who could replace me. And I knew I had every excuse in the world to not be there, but I showed up, and I used that as a part of my message, because God wanted me to speak from the heart. And I was just, as an act of faith, I needed to step outside my comfort zone, even though I would have been going to the ER to get an MRI if it wasn't for that responsibility of being there.
And I think that one of the things that you shared with this, Steve, he had a lisp, so he had some speech impediments like this, and so he started overcoming things. If I'm telling it wrong, which I will probably do a lot, to correct me here, but he mastered doing a backflip, and that was kind of your signature, wasn't it?
Yeah, people know me as being the guy who does backflips all the time or handstands everywhere.
And so he was supposed to do one of his traditional backflips on stage, and your knee was jacked, right?
Oh, yes. So as I was heading over there, they you'll like this. I'm flying over there, and they call me up. I just arrived in Michigan, and they said, "Hey, we're so excited. You're going to be representing us. By the way, we have some great news. We got a warped wall, so you could be able to show the kids how to run up it. And by the way, if you can do a backflip on stage before your presentation, that'd really get the crowd going. We're so excited for you representing us." And I was just like, God, I feel like the biggest imposter right now. But what's funny is God was behind it. I was trusting him. And God, a lot of times, will ask you to be in a place that people will oftentimes tell you you're not supposed to be. And I had to be willing to trust God and see it to the end, to see the story behind that. And even a couple days ago, just to tie it in really quick, a couple days ago, I had my first opportunity to preach. And it was it was an honor. And I had every fleshly excuse to, get nervous, because there have been some people who have traveled all around, even with Sean Foyt, to be able to like speak, and I got asked to just share a message at this event. And I just knew that what I remembered when I went to that big ticket festival and shared from the heart, because I was so nervous speaking in front of those people, God said, let me speak the words out of your mouth. Let me be your mouthpiece, because it's not your words. And I said, God, because I made it through that, I'm going to make it through this, and I'm not going to be nervous one bit, because if it's truly you, God, if you're transforming lives, I want to be a product of that as well. I want to be changed. I want to know that you're doing it, not myself. So I went out there and literally just spoke from the heart, and it was so freeing to know that, because if God's yoke is, if his burden is light, his yoke is easy, I should feel that. I don't want to be a hypocrite. So I walked out there, spoke from the heart. It may not have been perfect, but I felt so refreshed knowing that I didn't have to be nervous, because my mission in life is helping people overcome fear and breaking out of complacency. And that means doing things afraid.
So how has all these experiences, life experiences, prepared you for Justin Maina's next chapter?
I definitely see the hills and valleys of life. I know that just like an alcoholic would never want to go to somebody who's never had a drink in their life for help, I know I've gone through a lot of issues and obstacles in life, not just physically, but just a lot of things. And I know that from that, I know I can inspire a lot of other people. And because I have I've walked through it, I've seen what heartache is like. I know that the bigger mission of what God is the bigger mission is how God can use an attack from the enemy into something so beautiful. And it's bigger than myself. Sometimes I ask God, why? Why is this happening to me? When I really feel like God's trying to say, hey, it's not about you. It's about how I can use this mess, allow other people to be invited in your mess to see how I can be God. And it's just so beautiful how my stories of hardship are the very things that can help set people free. And it's just sharing what God has done. I don't know. It's just, I'm very grateful for the down times, because it's really where my faith is tested the most. And that honestly, I deal with fear all the time. And that's why I believe it's one of my gifts, because I see it all the time. And I don't know, I can go on and on, but I feel like I'm right at a pivotal moment of my life where God's about to expand a lot of things in my life, but it's very, very challenging.
With your workouts now, you're not competing on the Ninja Warrior. Have that changed? Because you used the word muscle confusion.
Yes.
And improvise. Well, what's the word I'm looking for?
The improvisation.
Yeah. Yeah. But where does your workouts go now? Because for me, my time constraints are more nowadays. When I was young, I could spend the whole day in the gym. That was my job. That's what I got paid to do. So, but with it now, I have to allot times and balance my life. How does working out change for you, since you're not climbing that vertical wall and pressing that red button at the end?
It's interesting. It's definitely a transition. And I'll never forget what you spoke about on one of our previous podcasts, where you could lift up a dumbbell so heavy, and then one day you're going to lift it up and realize, oh, wow, I can't do what I did before. So I'm preparing myself for transitions, and I realized I'm not doing, even now, even though I'm still in my 30s, I'm not doing some of the things I used to do because of the accountability, knowing, all right, I've got a competition, let me prepare for it. I used to be on-air fitness modeling on HSN for 9 years with, from Mario Lopez to Tony Little. So I don't have that daily accountability. So that kind of has allowed me to not train as hard. But at the end of the day, I still, one thing I do train myself really hard with, and I still train hard, but it's not as extreme, which is fine. But I train myself even harder mentally. Like I'll do cold plunges in 28 degrees with Epsom salts in it. That's why it's below freezing. I'll do water. I'll train with my buddies who are rescue swimmers, where they're doing water torture exercises. It's insane. But yeah, just pushing myself to a point where I'll say, hey, I'm going to do 100 burpees, and I don't care how long it takes. I'm going to do it without stopping. And then be on. I just set something in my mind and do it like a David Goggins. And yeah, just it makes me realize that I can push the limits more than I think.
You've just found new challenges, is what you're saying, because at the end of the day, when you're competing for an end event, and you no longer have that end event to compete for. So you're like, I need to compete for something, and you win jumping in cold water.
Well, Steve, why don't you take the final minutes, and I know you always have a lot of creative questions, and maybe just throw some out. Oh, okay. So, Justin, leave us with a thought and incorporate fitness, because I do like what you just said. You're using that same fitness energy just for a mental outcome now. And I know what that's like, because people ask me now how long I work out in the gym, and I have a time limit, and it's 25 minutes. And so, and a lot of people, will say I don't look 64, and I go, I don't ever want to look my age. But I have to adjust things because the recovery's not there. So kind of maybe take the last few minutes and say, this is what Justin Maina is going to be doing with my fitness going into my travel schedule and things like that.
When you're working out your whole life, you're eventually going to ask why. When you put yourself through hard things, you're going to question why you're doing it. And if not, you're going to get out. Just like if you're training to become a Navy SEAL, they're going to test you to the limit. And if you want to ring that bell to quit, you'll quit. But if you really are determined to know why you're there, you'll succeed. So for me, the reason I want to work out is to not be limited by things. I also want to be a warrior for Jesus. And part of being a warrior for him is being fully equipped and prepared to have that pillar of my life stewarded with excellence. So I want to make sure that when I'm modeling, anywhere, what I mean by modeling is just we're all models, with just being who we are. Wherever we go, we're a model for Jesus. So I know that when people look at me, I want them to say, hey, this is somebody who not only sharpens themselves and by doing a lot of hard things, but they've got a strong faith with the Lord, and they also take care of their body. I think a lot of people don't steward that well, and I feel like they excuse it because, they're working on their spiritual life. I want to know that all the days of my life, I am working in stewarding my body well, not only with the training, but also with nutrition. And I could always be better at that, but I know I don't want to be limited, and I want to make sure that I'm representing what God gave me with excellence.
I like that. Well, Justin, I loved having you on all three of the shows. You're a superb guest. Steve, thank you. I always love doing it with Steve. And glad you guys watched, because without you guys, we're really not doing anything but just having the conversation you and I could have at your shop.
Yes.
Which is at
7420 District Boulevard, right across the street from Nestle's Ice Cream. Come on by, check us out. Come say hi. We can talk about it.
Yeah. So, Justin, hey, I look forward to the event coming up in March. I'm excited to be on your and Cody's team, and those are things that are really cool. Hey, Justin, we just want to thank you for being patient with us, being so knowledgeable in not only your life story, but your fitness and your ministry. You're a young man that I can say God is using and has a place for that, just like I see it with Steve.
Now, I'm going to ask the question I'm sure everybody else is wondering. So how'd you do the backflip with one leg?
With what?
How'd you do the backflip with only one leg?
All right, so here's the thing. There's no way I could have done that backflip on stage. But what I did do was when I limped out there and spoke, my buddy, Aaron Boyd on the mic said, hey, Justin, why don't you do a handstand for everybody? So I wasn't prepared for that. I just did a handstand push-up. So I did what I could. So I didn't do the one-legged backflip.
I was waiting for that answer.
I love it, Justin. You've been a fun, great guest. So thank you. I appreciate it. And you're a fine example of what I would like to see going out and taking the message of the gospel with you. And you'll forever be known as a ninja warrior. And I think that's going to open a lot of doors for you.
Thank you so much.
Justin, thank you. Thank you guys for watching. Without you, we just would be talking. So God bless.